Hey guys, welcome back to Ashley's Homestead Adventures. We're headed out to the barn this morning. I'm trying to collect all my things here. So obviously we are back into canning pears this morning, and just kind of, we just kind of start a batch. I start a batch before I go out in the morning, and of course right now it's really fun because I have Mr. Wonderful here, and he's helping me can and get things preserved, and also helping me butcher. So I am going to put just a little FYI right here in the front end, that this video does show chickens that are butchered. They look exactly like they do when you take them out of the package at the store. There is no there is no dead chickens with feathers on them in this video. However, I did want to share with you our setup because I have a lot of people that ask me, what does our small homestead, when we're butchering 10 or 25 chickens at a time, what does that look like? Because, a lot of people, when they think of how chickens are done, they think of, either factories, or they think of how their grandma did it. They don't, when I say we have a chicken plucker, they're like, what? You don't just pluck them by hand? So, I get asked a lot, so I'm just going to go ahead and insert in here what our chicken setup looks like. And at the end of the clip, you will see the chickens that we butchered yesterday. We butchered 10 chickens yesterday, in the form of right before they go into the bag to go into the freezer. So like I said, they just look like a small chicken that you purchased at the grocery store. I had to put it in black and white, but those are our kill cones on the tree. And so we have 2 kill cones hung, and so we do kill 2 at a time. And those you can just buy off of Amazon. You can buy them from, different poultry supply stores, and we just leave them screwed into the tree, and then we can just use them when we need to. And you put the chicken in upside down, and so they are in a state of hypnosis when you actually kill them. So not only is the butchering fast, but they are in a state of hypnosis, so it's very humane. And they come over and they get scalded in a scalding pot, and we scald ours at 140-ish degrees for about 35 to 40 seconds, and then they go to a plucker. This is a chicken plucker. This is taken apart because we've already cleaned this. We're done butchering. But this is a chicken plucker. These things are worth their weight in gold if you are thinking about getting one of these. They're amazing. And then they go to the table, and the table right now has got the chickens on them, but the table, we do our evisceration, we cut the necks off, we cut the feet off, and the necks and the feet get saved for bone broth, and then we of course eviscerate them, which is taking the guts out. And we save the liver and the hearts for the dogs. And then they go into an ice bath, which is in a cooler, just like this. And these have been in here for quite some time. And they go in here for an hour or 2 hours, up to, some people leave them for 12 hours. And then they go on a drying rack, and here is our butchered chickens on the drying rack, and then they will go into bags, and we will actually shrink wrap them back in the pot. We're waiting for this pot to start boiling again, up to 190 degrees, so that we can shrink wrap them in bags. So that is the process. These are our beautiful chickens that we raised. So we find that if you put the bags on them without taking them off the rack, just put the bags on them first while they're hanging on the rack, it's much easier. here we are. We did 10 chickens today. And here is our 10 Barred Rock chickens in their bags, ready to go in the freezer. So for us, that is 40 meals. That's a lot. So that is all very exciting. For us, we put 10 chickens in the freezer for us. And you know, one of the things I was talking to Mr. Wonderful about this, now we have raised Barred Rock chickens to be our chickens that we are trying to sustainably grow for meat. We've opted out of getting Cornish crosses so far on this property. We have raised Cornish crosses before. We raised them in Oregon. We raised up to 150 at a time. And we wanted to try to do something more sustainable and more. It's hard to watch Cornish crosses grow. They get to a point to where their legs start to break. They are designed to grow really, really fast and really, really big, which is how you get those great big plump chickens at the grocery store. And the end of their lives are not what I would call a healthy, happy chicken. They can barely move. They're super heavy. A lot of times their breasts are so heavy they have a hard time getting up off the ground and standing up. So we wanted to try something that was more sustainable and where we had happier chickens their whole life through. With that, we had to make the adjustment in our brain. You know, I told Mr. Wonderful, I said, we're not going to get 7 and 8 pound chickens. We're not even going to get 5 and 6 pound chickens for the most part. We're going to be getting 3 and 4 pound chickens, and we need to do one of two things. A, we need to be okay with maybe raising 25 meat chickens so we can have that great big fat juicy chicken. You know, we need to be okay with raising Cornish crosses, and maybe we, you know, we'll just butcher them at 6 weeks instead of 9 weeks so that they don't get so fat. Or we need to change our way of thinking and be okay with eating smaller chickens, because that's what our grandmas and grandpas ate, was smaller farmhouse chickens. I'm just out here dumping the scraps from the kitchen for the chickens. Today we're getting pears and a loaf of sourdough wheat bread that did not get eaten in time. So we're really enjoying that. Oh, she just took the whole thing. I've got a little bit of snack time happening this morning because I had scraps from pear scraps and kitchen scraps for the chickens, and then I also have, for the horses, I have some pears that, well, good morning, sister, that we found in the box of pears that were no longer good for us, but perfectly fine for animal consumption. So I'm actually going to go out and give the horses each a pear. So anywho, that is butcher talk. I don't talk a lot about, you know, butchering chickens other than, you know, I want you to know that the chickens that we're growing are getting used. But there are, you know, if you want a how-to video, I believe Justin Rhodes has it. There's, you know, there's a lot of people out there making videos about, and websites and things like that. Now, a lot of them nowadays you have to join to get the videos, to get the content, because there's a lot of like platforms like here on YouTube, Facebook, most of the platforms, you can't show butchering an animal. So sometimes there's the catch of having to join an email list or something like that. I believe I joined Justin Rhodes' email list and was able to get some butchering videos and some really good content. But for us, that's our setup, and that's a little bit of how we do it. But we won't be showing killing animals here on this channel. We can let other people do that. And here is what breakfast looks like for the 4 dogs that I have on the farm here. And that is chicken from our farm. zucchini from our farm and brown rice, and all in a chicken bone broth that we made with the bones after we took all of the meat off of the chickens. We're kind of that way with a lot of things. You know, that's like these pears. We, you know, the skins, the cores, all of that goes to the chickens. If we run into a bad one or 2 or 5, then we feed them to, you know, if they just have a small bad spot, no mold or anything like that, we'll give them to the horses. If they do have mold, then they go to the chickens. But we don't, you know, waste not, want not. Chance, you want a pear? Hmm? Yes. Okay. There you go, Grace. All right, I am going to get these kids out to pasture and get breakfasts served all the way around. And our jars are out of the canner, our pears. They look beautiful. That is the joy of having a Mr. Wonderful home. He is in the kitchen canning while I am out getting the horses out, and it's just amazing how much we can get done when we're both home. So it's really been a pleasure. It's going to be hard to watch him go back to work. That's going to be it for today, you guys. I hope you had a great one. I will catch you on the next one. Yours truly.